In the eerie stillness of midnight, I found myself deep within a dense, pitch-black forest, shrouded in an impenetrable darkness that seemed to absorb any trace of light. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the haunting whispers that echoed through the twisted branches, guiding me with an otherworldly allure. It was a time when the moon held no dominion over the night, and the stars remained obscured by the thick canopy of ancient trees. My reason for venturing into this foreboding realm eluded me, lost in the inky void that surrounded my every step. The oppressive atmosphere bore down on me, intensifying the feeling of dread that clung to the very air I breathed. As I pressed forward, compelled by the enigmatic whispers, the gnarled roots beneath my feet seemed to writhe in a sinister dance, creating an intricate web that ensnared the forest floor. Each step brought a disconcerting crunch, as if the very earth beneath me recoiled at my intrusion. The chilling breeze whispered secrets of forgotten sins, luring me deeper into the heart of the haunting labyrinth. Suddenly, a dim glow emerged in the distance, a faint, ethereal light that barely penetrated the suffocating darkness. As I approached, the glow revealed a figure, a shadowy silhouette mirroring my own form. The air grew colder, and the whispers intensified, now forming a symphony of disembodied voices that echoed through the desolate woods. I hesitated, my breath catching in my throat as I confronted the spectral doppelganger before me. Its features were obscured by an impenetrable darkness, yet an aura of malevolence emanated from its form. The figure stood in stoic silence, a macabre reflection of my own existence, dripping with the sins of a past life. The atmosphere thickened with an oppressive energy, and the forest seemed to pulsate in rhythm with the malevolent entity. It was as if the very essence of the woods resonated with the sins that clung to my spectral counterpart. In that moment, a flood of memories surged through my mind, memories of a life lived and misdeeds left unspoken. The whispers intensified, morphing into accusatory voices that dredged up the buried sins of my past. Each echo bore the weight of guilt and remorse, casting a damning light on the choices that led me to this haunted encounter. The forest became a spectral courtroom, and the shadowy figure served as judge and jury, condemning me with its silent gaze. A profound sense of dread enveloped me as the truth of my own transgressions unfolded before the accusatory eyes of my doppelganger. The sins, once buried in the recesses of my conscience, now dripped from the shadowy silhouette like an ethereal ooze, staining the ground beneath it. In that haunted forest, I stood at the crossroads of redemption and damnation, my past laid bare by the spectral entity that mirrored my very existence. The air hung heavy with the weight of my sins, and the haunting whispers transformed into an eerie lament, echoing through the twisted branches as a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks within us all. And so, in the heart of that pitch-black forest, I faced the chilling consequences of my past, confronted by a shadowy reflection that dripped with the sins of a life that could never be forgotten. It was the witching hour when I found myself standing before the imposing structure of an abandoned hospital, its once sterile walls now adorned with the decay of neglect. The moon hung high in the inky sky, casting a feeble glow upon the desolate building. An unsettling wind whispered through the broken windows, carrying with it the stench of decay that permeated the forsaken halls. With trepidation, I crossed the threshold of the forsaken hospital, my footsteps echoing through the empty corridors like a solemn requiem for the lives once lived within these now dilapidated walls. The air was thick with an oppressive silence that seemed to amplify the creaks and groans of the decaying structure. My journey led me deeper into the bowels of the forsaken institution, and as I entered the forgotten psychiatric ward, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The once muted sounds of the abandoned hospital now gave way to a symphony of tormented whispers that danced on the edge of perception. It was as if the very air resonated with the lingering anguish of the souls who had once sought solace within these walls. The flickering light of a long-forgotten lantern cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper, creating a macabre tableau that hinted at the horrors that unfolded in this desolate place. I pressed on, drawn to the heart of the psychiatric ward, where the tormented souls of former patients were said to manifest their twisted nightmares. The air grew heavier, and the temperature plummeted as I ventured further into the dimly lit corridors. The walls seemed to close in around me, as if the very architecture of the building conspired to trap those who dared to intrude. It was then that I felt a subtle shift in reality, as though the boundaries between the tangible and the spectral were beginning to blur. A chorus of anguished moans echoed through the abandoned halls, each lament a chilling reminder of the tortured minds that once sought refuge within these crumbling walls. The tortured souls, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead, manifested their darkest fears in the recesses of my consciousness, turning my reality into a living, breathing hell. Distorted faces contorted with unimaginable agony appeared in the flickering shadows, their eyes bearing witness to the horrors they had endured in life. The very essence of the psychiatric ward seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if the tormented spirits sought to communicate the unspeakable horrors that had transpired within these forgotten confines. As I navigated the twisted corridors, I became ensnared in a nightmarish labyrinth of hallucinations and spectral manifestations. The line between reality and nightmare blurred with each step, and the tormented souls sought to draw me into the abyss of their eternal suffering. In that forsaken psychiatric ward, time became an elusive concept, and the boundaries of sanity unraveled like frayed threads. The air resonated with the collective trauma of those who had been subjected to the cruelty of a bygone era. The walls seemed to pulsate with the tormented heartbeat of the forsaken, echoing the nightmares that had etched themselves into the very fabric of the abandoned hospital. And so, in the heart of that decaying psychiatric ward, I became a captive audience to the twisted nightmares of the tormented souls, my reality entwined with their spectral anguish. The stench of decay and the haunting whispers of the forsaken lingered in the air, a chilling testament to the horrors that unfolded within the forgotten walls of the abandoned hospital. It was in the muted hours of twilight that I first laid eyes on the cursed doll, a sinister creation crafted from porcelain and adorned with an unsettling air of malevolence. I had acquired it from a mysterious antique shop tucked away in the shadowy recesses of an unfamiliar alley, its shelves lined with artifacts that seemed to carry the weight of forgotten stories. The doll's hauntingly vacant eyes bore into my soul as I carried it into the dimly lit room of my home. Its delicate features, though seemingly benign, held an ominous aura that sent shivers down my spine. Little did I know that this seemingly innocent acquisition would become an unwitting harbinger of my own descent into a nightmarish reality. As the days unfolded, I noticed a peculiar and disconcerting connection between myself and the cursed doll. It began with subtle movements, its delicate fingers twitching in tandem with the fluctuations of my own emotions. At first, I dismissed it as a mere coincidence, a trick of the mind seeking patterns in the mundane. However, as the tendrils of misfortune tightened their grip on my life, the cursed doll's manifestations escalated. In moments of joy, its porcelain face would assume an almost cherubic expression, mirroring my fleeting happiness. Yet, when the shadows of despair crept over my soul, the doll's features contorted into a grotesque reflection of my inner demons. The cursed doll became an eerie embodiment of my emotional turmoil, a silent witness to the unraveling tapestry of my existence. Its porcelain visage twisted and distorted in accordance with the darkest recesses of my psyche, laying bare the raw and unfiltered reflection of my innermost fears. During sleepless nights plagued by nightmares, the cursed doll would sit atop my dresser, its gaze unyielding as if it were absorbing the very essence of my tormented dreams. Its once pristine appearance now bore the cracks and fissures of a malevolent force at play, reflecting the fractures in my own sanity. I found myself captivated by the unsettling dance between reality and the supernatural, as the cursed doll transcended the boundaries of mere inanimate object. It seemed to feed off the emotional residue that clung to the air, growing stronger with each passing day as my life spiraled further into disarray. In moments of solitude, I would catch glimpses of the cursed doll moving with a life of its own. Its delicate limbs would shift subtly, as if guided by an unseen force, echoing the unspoken turmoil that festered within my own soul. The line between puppet and puppeteer blurred, leaving me to grapple with the unnerving realization that the doll had become an extension of my own internal chaos. As my world crumbled around me, the cursed doll stood as a silent sentinel, its porcelain face a twisted reflection of the abyss that yawned within. The once pristine doll now bore the scars of my own unraveling, its fragile facade shattered like a mirror reflecting the shattered fragments of my life. In the end, the cursed doll became a symbol of the symbiotic relationship between the supernatural and the human psyche. Its contorted features served as a grotesque testament to the depths of despair, an unsettling reminder that our inner demons have the power to materialize in the most unexpected forms. The haunted doll, an unwitting accomplice to my descent into darkness, stood as a chilling testament to the consequences of tampering with forces beyond the realm of understanding.